Um, hey, looks like we got Chesbro up now.
Chesbro back.
This is GLOBALARK. Let's pull it up
GLOBALARK.
here.
All caps for my boy Chesbro. What's up, Chesbro? How you doing? Happy Friday.
Chesbro, let us know if there's any story behind this one or any
Me and the
details you
moon,
want
we
to share.
out there trading secrets. How to walk upon Mars, Saturn, and Venus. Fire.
Nice.
Okay. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Count us off.
All right, 3, 2, 1, hit it.
So fucking unique. Oh shit, hold up. Sorry.
What was that?
Said that was fucking unique as shit, bro.
Yeah,
Chesbro, buddy.
very unique. Yeah, a lot of these songs are like
Correct me if I'm wrong too. I think he produces and does vocals. Yo,
yeah,
hey,
I think he said he
happy Friday.
does.
Sorry.
I'm trying to figure out like I was trying to compare to anything else. There's maybe some indirect comparisons, but it's definitely unique.
Yeah, who does shit
That's
like that? I don't know.
cool.
Um, yeah,
Should we?
that was
You want to go?
crazy.
Let's go through vibes each, and then
Yeah, vibes. What can I say about this shit? I don't even know what to say about vibes. I do want to kind of just say what my first impression is. It's like um, space cowboy type beat, but fucking Wild West cowboy, like fucking crazy frenzy type beat.
right.
Always keeps the energy up, chest bro. Um, but I think the biggest thing for me, like as a vocalist, um, and like I love this kind of uh, what is it? I don't want to say it's hyperpop because it's not really hyperpop, but for some reason that's where I want to peg him. Um, like there's like a tendency to kind of mush lyrics together, um, and it sounds like pretty decent and stuff. But I think sometimes when it's overdone, like I'm reading the lyrics that you have on the screen, and it's like what you're saying, it's like nowhere close to. Well, like it, like I could tell that's where it is, but it feels like you're smushing in a little bit too much for me, um, and it doesn't feel uh, smooth. It feels kind of unnatural. That's like the biggest thing that I can kind of take away from this. Before I can get into the big three, I just wanted to say that. Um, but yeah,
Sure.
vibes, energy. I think again I heard his fucking crowd vocals in the back at one point. I wish there was more of that actually. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I so vibes. I don't know. I guess it's like maybe yellow, just because. Yeah, I mean I can't really pinpoint anything. Vibes is kind of nebulous anyways, but yeah, I don't know. What do you have anything for vibes?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd say. Well, first, I'd probably agree with you about the
Oh, shout out to the bar about fucking his testicles feel like Death Stars. I think you should get that checked out by the way. That made me laugh during it. Chess bro.
yeah. That's good.
But anyways,
I agree about the lyrical thing. I mean, I think there is, again, I know that the impression that you might want to give is that super fast paced thing, but there's a point when you can't really execute it as well as you might hope you could, and you're not quite living up to that vibe that you're trying to go for with the fast lyrics thing.
Mhm.
Yes, there's still a balance with that. Like I think what happens a lot of time is when people want a lot of something, whether it's a lot of bass or a lot of distortion or a lot of whatever in the way that they envision their song, the solution usually isn't actually to add as much as you possibly can. There's more finesse involved usually, and if you know, you could study a lot of your influences and how they produced their songs and how the producers and mixing engineers they with made those things happen, made those perceptions possible. But usually, it's not a lot more than you think. Even like just one example, Green Day stuff on like Dookie, right? People think of that album as being having really heavily distorted guitars, right?
Mhm.
There's barely any distortion on the actual guitar tones, which is
Mhm.
crazy. You would never think that. It's actually, I think it's just going through a Marshall at certain points, and sometimes with a tube screamer, but the tube screamer is more for live. Most of it's just through a Marshall that's slightly overdriven for people who know
Mhm.
about guitar stuff.
Sheesh.
But same thing with this, like having the fast feel of lyrics doesn't necessarily mean squeezing as many lyrics as possible in, but rather crafting a flow that is consistent and smooth, but also feels like that to the listener. There's kind of
Yep.
an art and a balance in it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd have to agree with that. For vibes, again, I feel like there's a lot going on. It's also like a little bit chaotic for my tastes.
Yes.
And we could go into some places where that is appearing, more specifically as well. But I would
Yep.
also give it a yellow for develop there.
Yeah.
Um, Content, I guess we can go right into. Do you want to go on that one?
I mean, yeah, so what you kinda said, I think hit the nail on the head for me. Chaotic, right? And I heard a lot of different things going on, especially with the production. I feel like he did, like that fucking kinda sound, you know? And I caught, like, details like that, and I thought it was really, really cool. But the thing is that I felt like there was no kinda dynamic journey. It was just kinda all up there. I think that might
Yeah.
have been what Chesbro did last time.
Hmm.
Like, his energy brings it up, but there's nothing to contrast it with. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you live on a plateau, if it's super high, above the sea level, you won't even, like, recognize any highs and lows. You're just always high. So,
Yeah. You can't
that's
see light without having dark.
yes. Yes, no contrast, right? Um, yeah, so content-wise, that's kind of going along with what this is saying. I think it would benefit from having kind of dropouts and different changes in energy. Um, kind of points like if you were to perform this live where you'd literally do like a count off like 1, 2, 3, 4 from like a quiet point to like an actual like breakdown. From
Oh
here, it's
yeah.
just out from the get-go, like fucking crazy. So um
Yeah.
yeah, that's from me. I think I do appreciate a lot of the detail, a lot of the sounds is very, very interesting and new. Um, but yeah, I make contrast. And
Yeah.
so, then again, it's only a minute 46, so that's from me, Chess Bro. I think it's a yellow as well from me in content.
Yeah, I think I'd say the same. I'd probably put it between yellow to green, closer to yellow
I could
though.
see that. I could see that.
I think most of it, like you definitely have a really good thing going here, and we've talked about it, but your
Fresh.
artistry I think feels legit. Um, and there's a lot of elements here. Like production is at a level above a lot of people, and just the overall composition, which is content related.
Yep.
But yeah, I would also agree. Just like I think I would love to see some of your stuff, but with builds, right? Like even just right at the beginning, some sort of build in, man. Like even if it's like a 1 bar swell, right? Like that can make such a difference in like the way that it hits the listener's ear. Uh, Something like that, or having some more variation and throughout the song of like not just being at 100 the whole time, because that can get pretty exhausting. I,
100.
I I honestly find that with the level like being everything like smashed up at 100, front of the screen from the beginning becomes tiring sort of like almost immediately, and then
Mhm.
you sort of can settle into it and try to listen, but it's a lot to take in.
Yep.
So I would definitely work on trying to dial it back a little bit, working on that balance.
Mhm.
Um, then for
Love the
production,
visuals,
do
by
you
the
do
way.
anything specific for that? Yeah, the
Uh,
visuals are always super clear.
I don't know. I wanted to hear your perspective on this because I'm hearing stuff, but I can't really vocalize it as of yet. So Yeah,
Yeah.
if you could go first on
So
that.
my main thing was the way that the visual is having all this sort of dynamic, like moving back and forth into the foreground. I wanted to ask Chesbro, are you using some sort of dynamic compression or like some automatic like level riding plugin or just like a bunch of volume automation? Because what I was hearing was, or even like ducking maybe. I'm hearing a lot of stuff moving forward and back, which is really distracting, honestly.
Mm,
It's sort of
like
like why is yeah, like why is the vocal like I mean, I could if I went back and listened again, I could definitely hear clear volume changes. And I don't know if
mm.
those are intentional or as the result of some processing that's not working the way you want it to. I'm not really sure. Uh, but yeah, there's it sounds like the vocal is changing volume quite a bit. And it's just really hard to hear, like Chris said, with those backing vocals and that stuff. Those are just getting kind of lost and buried, and they're kind of pulling your ear all around because there's like something over here and something comes in and you're trying to make it out. There's a shitload happening like in the mid range there, and I just think that it's not super dynamic. And again, we talked about partly with arrangement that's an issue, but also with the mixing, it just feels like there's a lot happening in the mid range, in the upper mid range especially, and like it's kind of squashed.
Mm.
So it's hard to make out exactly what's going on with that stuff, and with those vocal, I'm not sure what that is. Those vocal volume changes.
It could even be a lack of compression, maybe.
Maybe, but it sounded like it was from processing, not from mic. It could be
Yeah,
from
the
moving
mic
back
did
and
sound.
forth to the microphone. It could be
I
that, but
yeah.
it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I hear what
Chesbro,
you mean, though,
let us
because
he
it
said
did sound
fruity
like
compressor and some EQ stuff. It wouldn't be a flanger.
the
Definitely
EQ.
not a flanger. Fruity compressor, maybe. Maybe there's something weird happening with the compression there, or maybe it's just when it was recorded there was some movement or something. I don't know, or maybe there's some plugin in there that's doing something that you don't quite realize that it's doing. But yeah, I would just say there's probably a little bit. You're probably driving your processing a little bit too hard. That's what I think it probably comes down to. Like dial stuff back to make it sound a little bit more natural. Uh, Try to make things a little bit more consistent because we're definitely hearing a lot of like it's hard to process with your your ears and your brain sort of.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what I would say for production. And I would give it a again probably around a develop. Yeah, I would
Yep.
say it sums to a develop. But yeah, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I would probably go yellow to green, right in the middle there, because I do like a lot of the
Sure.
detailed weird shit that I'm hearing. I think it's
Yeah.
very unique. I could barely pinpoint you into a genre. Um, but I do say that on top of what Josh is saying, um, there's this one synth. I don't want to replicate it, but it's like a high synth, and it sounds very very dry. Um, I think that's what like I kind of summed up the whole mix as like you have this like kind of space visual. For me, I would like to actually have the instrumentation to be a little more wet, if that makes sense, to kind of glue everything together a little bit. Um, it's just kind of a chaotic, and then everything's dry, so everything's kind of sharp. And
Sure.
um, I think as a producer, maybe I would probably take away a couple things,
Yeah.
and then add some wetness to kind of glue everything together. But
Yeah, and
the thing that
honestly,
stuck
I
out to me was that
wouldn't.
high sense for me.
Um,
So I thought that was the
yeah,
coolest part.
I would. I think there's a couple options for that. One that I would not do. Don't add reverb before taking some stuff down a notch,
Mm,
because
yep.
that's just going to add
Right.
more complexity and literally reverberation of high mid frequencies, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a mess. You need to create a significant amount of space in the mix, and then you can add reverb, and that's like a good way to fill in that space. Another
Mm,
way, if you're just trying to glue stuff together and make it sound a little bit more uniform, you could put like you could experiment with what like a tape one of those tape emulators like Waves makes a really good one. Kramer tape I think is one.
shout out waves.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. There might be some other stuff that I'm forgetting the name of, but that can sort of round out the edges a little bit and just glue things together in a very subtle way. You don't want to overdo it. Same thing could just be with a master bus compressor that again is very subtle. When you're doing anything on the master bus, you don't want to make drastic moves because it's gonna fuck things up. Like just don't do it.
Yep.
uh, so yeah, I think that's where we're at. And then track total. I'd have to say it's like 50-60% between develop and good to go for me.
Yep, I think so too. And by the way, Chesbro, looks like Aaron Campbell, appreciate you guys in the chat, is a low key liking Global Arc. Well, yeah, I like it too. And we always say
Yeah,
with Chesbro, the artistry is super sick and the energy is
yeah,
there. It's just some of these other things that we can uh, hopefully, take you to the next level, at least from our
yeah,
tastes. But yeah, again, I
yeah.
think I'd want to see this guy live. I think he'd go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, we focus obviously on the nitpicky stuff because I think it's the most helpful. But yeah, we definitely liked a lot about it. So yeah, thanks for
Yo, Sean,
sending
most it.
us stuff again.
Yes, thank you, Chess Bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
you
looking forward to hearing more.
for sure.